That was some pretty good worship music, huh? So I'm gonna be really calm about this moment. Um, but we have a special guest tonight. Very special guest speaker. Did anyone see the Instagram post? So I heard first it was Harry Styles, maybe, but I think he's a little busy. I saw Amberly was one of them. Saw, I thought maybe Billie Eilish, but nah, I don't think, nah. But guess who it is, guys? Are you ready? Guess who it is? It is Hartley Allen!
Hi, friends. Okay, so real talk. You've seen a lot of me tonight already. That's very nice of you. Everybody, love you too, man. Okay, everybody come scoot really close. If you can sit on the floor, come sit on the floor. I'm gonna sit right here. Everybody come sit either in this front row of chairs or on the floor. I don't want anybody further than 20 feet away from me because it's not a pandemic anymore. You can sit there, that's fine with me. Social distancing who? Oh, actually, that's a really good idea if we're gonna be so close together. Hi, buddy. All right, if you don't wanna sit on the floor, would you at least scoot up like 2 rows? Please and thank you. Awesome. Okay. So, how many of you have never met me before in your life? I met you last week. There are a couple of you that I don't know. So, hi, hello, my name is Hartley. My name is Hartley Ann. Wow. Kayla wanted to know what my middle name was. Thank you to everybody who scooted closer. That makes my heart happy. Would it be possible for us to do normal lights in here and no spotlights so I can see everybody a little bit better? Thanks, man. Okay. So how many of you guys have an awesome circle leader? Like, give me a yell. Give me a cheer. Okay, let's try that again. How many of you guys have a really awesome circle leader? Aw, how cute. Wow. Okay, so I want to, real quick, let you guys know that I did this exact thing with the circle leaders on Sunday night. We sat like this, basically, and just talked, and we talked about what you guys really wanted and needed to hear. And they all love you guys so much. So if you're ever like, man, does my circle leader really care about me? Just know that, like, I, who have not met some of you, know how much you are loved by your circle leaders. Cool? They're great. You guys have a really great group of circle leaders this semester. Huh? Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick little conversation, and then we're going to spend extra time in circles tonight. Sound good? Huh? What's your name? What's your name? Hi, Daniel. Nice to meet you. I'm Hartley. Whoa. We're going to... Okay, so you guys, we're going to talk a little bit about transitions, okay? Somebody tell me, what does it mean to be in a season of transition? Raise your hand. We're all just going to chat tonight. Somebody tell me, what does it mean to be in a season of transition? Nick, start us off.
It's where you move from one stage of your life to another.
Beautiful. You're moving from one stage of life to another. Did anybody else have a different answer for that? Awesome. It's a word in an essay that transitions you to a new sentence. Like however or because. Okay. We got some grammar going. That's fun. Wasn't expecting that, but I am here for it. So we are going to, oh, what you got? Okay. It's nothing really. Do you want to tell me?
Okay. I completely forgot.
I'm going to ask lots of other things, so if you want to talk in the mic, you'll get the chance to talk in the mic. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples of people in the Bible who have had a major transition happen in their lifetime. And I'm going to read some examples, and the people sitting on the stage are not going to answer because you've already seen my computer, right? Okay. I'm going to read a description of somebody, and I want you guys to shout out the name of the person when you know it. Got it? Don't. Okay. Okay. You guys ready? All right, listen. None of the answers are Jesus. Hang on. I know. How blasphemous of me to not put Jesus as an option. Okay, this person is a Jewish woman who married into royalty, became queen. It is Esther. Used her newfound authority to save her people from a manipulative, racist politician. Huh. Wow. So what was her transition? From being broke to not being broke. She went from being common to royal. She went from being a normal person to a leader. Awesome answers. All right. This person is another young woman who married someone outside of her culture. Ruth, Kayla, whoa. Married someone outside of her culture, then became a widow when her husband died. And moved to her dead husband's hometown with her mother-in-law to marry a great man from a very different cultural background. And that was Ruth. That's another massive transition, right? There's physical moving from place to place. Who's ever moved houses? Raise your hand if you've moved houses before. Yeah? How many of you have moved cities? Yeah. All right, hang on. Hands down. How many of you have moved countries? Oh, very cool. I cannot say that I have, but. Oh, you moved continents. Wait, who moved continents in here? Basically everybody who raised their hands. Cool. All right. Another one. This was a young man who went from being a shepherd to being a military hero to being an outlaw to being a king, all while making massive mistakes and bringing each of them to God with a repentant heart. David, good job, guys. I really thought you guys might need more than I'm giving you, but this is great. What? The face Rachel just made at me right now. She went, huh? All right, I got another one. You guys ready for my last one? This is a kid who was abused by his brothers, sold into slavery, promoted in the king's house, accused of assault. Are you guys listening to these transitions? Because this man's life was a roller coaster. All right, we're starting over. Everybody count the number of transitions you hear, okay? He was a kid. He starts as a kid who was abused by his brothers. So he goes from being his dad's favorite to being abused by his brothers. And then he was sold into slavery. Then he was promoted. And yeah, you know that guy? And then accused of assault. And then he was fired from his job. And then he was imprisoned. And then he was released from prison and promoted again. And then he was reunited with his family. Wow. How many did he have? 10? It could have been 10 or 9. I combined one of those, so cool. All right. This is just a few people. How many people did we talk through? The last one was Joseph. How many people was that? We had Ruth, we had Esther, we had David, and we had Joseph. So that's 4 people total. There's a lot of chatter happening over here. Ooh. Did anybody hear what I just said? Zach, 4 people. Thanks, man. Okay. I know you heard me, man. We're good. All right, so that's just a few people. And the Bible has 67 books? 66 books? Kayla knows more than me. 66 books. And each of those books has more than one person. So that means we've got easily 200 plus people who experience major transitions over the course of their lifetime, right? So when we experience something in our lives, we can look to the Bible for an example of how somebody else may have handled something similar to what we're going to. Just in any situation, odds are, if it's happening to you, it might have happened to somebody in the Bible. Maybe not with the exact same detail that is happening to you, but similar enough that you might be able to see yourself and go, okay, how did they handle it? How should they have handled it? What did God say during that? That one's free. That wasn't in my notes. Okay, so I want to hear from you guys about what's been going on in your world. Have any of you been experiencing transitions either in your families or in school or in life in general. Have any of you moved recently? We've got a couple people. Nick, I'm going to let Connor talk. You raised your hand. Okay, actually, let me clarify. Raise your hand if you would like to share just a couple sentences. We don't want to do a ton because we're going to talk more in depth in circles, okay? But keep it kind of short. Cool? Will you do it for me? You're Sean, right? Sean.
So my mom started a new job, right? And she's traveling everywhere, which is nice, but I don't see her much, so it's kind of sad. Oh, nice, man. Yes, sir. Anyways. No. I don't know this guy's name.
That's Connor. Very cool. Thanks for sharing. Okay, somebody else. Who's got something that... I fixed it. We're okay. Oh, thanks, Ralph. That's my friend. Everybody say, yay, Ralph. Or nothing. All right. Tatum, right? Tatum, tell us.
I was completely homeschooled my entire life and then put into public school this year. So that's been interesting to navigate.
Daniel, what you got?
So this summer I'm going to Hawaii for 6 weeks to visit my dad, and then I come back a week before, and then I'm moving schools to Haas Hall from Fayetteville Virtual Academy.
No.
Haas Hall, Haas Hall, Haas Hall, Haas.
So that's a lot of things all at once. I went to Haas. That's kind of fun. That's a lot of things. There's family there. There's physical location there. There's school transition there. That's a lot. Chloe, what you got? Come get the mic.
We have one more week of school, and I'm going to hopefully go on a vacation with my best friend this summer, hopefully, when she gets ungrounded. But yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah. Fayetteville, yeah. It's characters, right?
So obviously you guys have some understanding of what transition is like, right? Yeah, maybe? Okay, so just a little insight into me, because I know I'm a stranger to some of you guys. I recently had a massive transition in my life as well, where I moved from Arkansas to California. And I went from, well, not at the moment, but I do live there. I am only home for 2 weeks because my family's here. Yeah. Aw, Kayla says I live in her heart. Right back at you, girl. All right, but it was weird. Can I be real with you guys? How real can I be with you guys? How real is really real? Real. Y'all, tears real. Liz is like, cry. Cry. No, I lived in Arkansas my entire life before I moved to California. Somebody guess how old I am who doesn't know. 25? 27? 23. I'm 23. Okay, so that means 23 years of my life I lived in Northwest Arkansas. Not only did I live in Northwest Arkansas my whole life, but I lived with my parents that whole time. Not only did I live with my parents that whole time, I lived in the same house my whole life. Like, we never even moved houses. So when I moved to California, I packed up some stuff and was like, okay, I guess I'm taking this with me, and I guess I'm gonna go live really far away from everyone I know and love. And it was really weird. Can I be real? It was weird. I spent some time homesick. I spent some time worried that I wasn't gonna make the friends that I had here. Like, I have some really amazing friends here. Shout out to all my friends who are leaders and also students. I had some really amazing friends here, and I was very worried that I wasn't gonna find people who were as real as you guys are. And it took some time, and it took learning how to be vulnerable with people, to let them know, like, hey, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling whatever I'm feeling, in order to, develop real relationships with people. And so there was that transition. There was also a transition of going into a very different kind of school, where I was at the University of Arkansas, and you guys, my major in college was so easy. I majored in human development and family sciences, which is fancy talk for babies, and it was so easy. I did not have to work very hard in college at all. I picked an easy degree. I'm currently in grad school learning about Jesus, and it is so much harder, but I care so much more. And so it's taken a lot more energy, and it's taken a lot more focus. And it's been fun, but it's been hard. So just a little insight into who I am. I understand what transition is like. Every single one of your leaders understands what transition is like as well. They've gone from home to home, or from school to adult life, or from job to job, or from parental situation to parental situation, okay? So these are people who, when you start to tell them about what's been going on in your world, they're going to understand what you're talking about. They may not have exactly your story, but they have the right level of empathy to understand your story. Not if you're with me. Okay, I've got 4 people with me. All right, so we're going to look at one more Bible example. Thanks, man. We're going to look at one more. My notes say, let's look at one of my favorite transitions from the Bible because it was just such a hot freaking mess. Tristan's like, can't confirm. It does say that. We're going to talk about the Exodus. Everybody say Exodus. Really? Wow. Okay. Quickly, one person raise your hand and tell me what the Exodus was.
So the Israelites, God's people, were enslaved by Pharaoh, the Egyptians, and then God got this guy named Moses, and he's like, hey, come get my people out of slavery. And Moses was like, okay. So he went to the Pharaoh, and then Pharaoh was like, no, 10 times. But then God killed his son, and so then he let the Israelites go. And then they were wandering around for 40 years until they reached the promised land, and then they got the Passover, and then they got a bunch of laws, and then they were good.
And then they were good. Everybody give Hannah a round of applause. That was excellent and concise and probably better than I could have done it. All right, so we are going to read through quickly Exodus 14, 11 through 18. And you guys, there is a verse in here that I finally How many of you have ever heard somebody say, just be still, the Lord will fight for you? If you've heard that before, raise your hand. Did you know that right after that sentence, the Lord says, why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving? So much for being still. I didn't know that until I read this passage recently. And I was like, oh, we've been using that in an interesting way. Okay, so here's what I've learned from just watching the Israelites transition from slavery to freedom. They are annoying. They complain so much. They literally, at one point, listen to this, in verse 11, they said to Moses, why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, leave us alone. Let us be slaves to the Egyptians. It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness. They were going from slavery to freedom, and that's their response. I wonder why that was their response. They're obviously, we can tell by Moses' response in verse 13. He says, but Moses told the people, don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you. So these people are scared, and their reaction is to complain. Have you guys ever complained when you're scared as a coping mechanism? That's what we're seeing here. So guess what? Another way we relate to the Bible. Wild. We complain and suffer more when we forget what kind of God we really follow, when we forget what kind of God He really is. I'm going to say that again because I think it's pretty important. We complain and suffer more when we forget what kind of God He really is. When we lose focus on what God has done for us in the past and what we know of His character, we complain more, we forget who we're following, right? I think it's really important for us to remember that our hope looks different because we trust in a God who has always proved faithful. What does it mean for somebody to be faithful? It means loyal. It means to have faith. It means to put your trust in God. When I say that God is faithful, what do you guys think I mean? Because that's a word we don't really use, and we can trust him. Yeah. What I really mean here is when somebody is faithful, it means they have integrity. It means they do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it, right? I hear you. Yeah, that's really all I felt like I needed to say, is that God is who he says he is, and he does what he says he's going to do. When somebody lets you down, and they say they're going to, like, hang out with you, and then they cancel, kind of sucks, right? Unless you really didn't want to hang out with them in the first place, but that's a different story. But when somebody says they're going to help you with a project, or when somebody says they're going to give you a gift, or when somebody says they're going to spend time with you and you're really looking forward to it, it stings when they aren't there for that, right? Yeah? Here's just something really reassuring. God is never going to let you down in that way. He's never going to give you up. Never going to desert you. It's very true. He's never going to say goodbye. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So Moses is telling the people, while they're complaining and while they're griping and while they're worried about the fact that they're going to die, that they don't need to be afraid and they can trust the Lord because he'll fight on their behalf. And he says, just stay calm and the Lord will fight for you. And then God immediately says, why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. Because he's given them something to do, right? So when we're moving forward into what God is calling us to do, we have a purpose and we have something specific, right? When you're moving from one season of life to another, keep in mind that God is giving you a purpose in that season. Whether or not you can see it, he's giving you something important that you are headed towards. You're never just going to be wandering like the Israelites feel like they are. There's always going to be a good reason for that. Are you guys tracking? Yeah? Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to send you guys to, one more thing. In verse 18, God says that he is going to display his glory through this next situation of theirs. I'm not going to spend all my time on that. I just want you guys to know that, like, when you're moving through a season of transition, God promises to show his glory one way or another. Cool? I'm going to send you guys to circles, and you guys are basically just going to talk with your leaders and with each other about, hang on, everybody look at me. There was a lot of movement just now. Are we all listening? Okay. You're all going to go to your circles, and you're all going to talk with each other and with your leaders about whether or not you're in a season of transition. And I want you guys to really take this opportunity and know that your leaders are really listening and they really care about what you have to say. And if you run out of time in circles, your leaders are available all the time, right? So, cool. 3, 2, 1, break. Yeah.
Hey, y'all, we're just going to do the circles in here tonight. So 7th grade by the stairs to the left, 8th grade back corner, 9th grade by the carpet, 10th grade back right corner, 11th grade up here by these stairs, and then 12th grade, y'all can either go out into the 11th grade, you can either go to the cafe or go